Welcome everyone. We have the title of the panel here is leveraging technology towards public efficiency. So basically Bitcoin exists since 15 years ago, was created 15 years ago. Ethereum is more like 10 years ago, but we should be able to see visible, notable change in government. Would it be national-wide government or local governments? So we're going to talk about this with Nanak, Nihal, Khalsa, James Tunningley, Teodor, Petricevic, and Augusto, Ardiles. So I let each of one of them to present you.
Sure, thank you very much, and hey everybody, how are we doing? My name's James, I co-run a company called Architect. We're an investment and advisory firm based out of Switzerland, and I'm one of the leads at Protocol Labs, so I'm sure many of you know. Fun in the Commons was spun out of PL. I spent best part of a decade as a British diplomat prior to my career in crypto, so I'm sort of fusing those two worlds together. I'm very excited to discuss with my esteemed panelists today.
Well, thanks to Fund in the Common for this invitation. I'm Augusto Ardiles, Undersecretary of Investment. I used to work as a chief of the staff of the governor of the central bank in Argentina 6 years ago. So yesterday during a dinner I was thinking that it's part of my life try to make bridge between the fiat currency and the cryptocurrency, and now today between the public sector and the blockchain sector. So happy to be here and to have this discussion with all of you guys.
I'm Nanak Nihal. I'm one of the co-founders of Holland building Human.Tech. So we embed digital human rights into the web. We build separate infrastructure for identity and wallets. Really happy to be here with these incredible people.
Hi everyone. As you introduced me already, I'm Teodor. I work for United Nations Development Program. I have a role of digital partnerships lead and accelerator lead. What we are doing, basically, we are trying to develop the ecosystem that will allow higher or better adoption of the blockchain technology within the UN ecosystem, but also across the governments.
Okay, so keep the micro, please.
Okay.
Theo. I want to dig into the program, the United Nations Development Program, the AltFinLab. Can you present a few use cases that were implemented using distributed ledger technology or blockchain, depending on the number of nodes or a few details?
Yeah, so I would say blockchain industry is collaborating with UN for a long time. So the first cases we had in 2013, 2014. And just recently we mapped 156 use cases that we have in the UN ecosystem. 89 were validated, which basically means that both sides, UN agencies and blockchain builders, agreed that they did something. So still I think 90 use cases are quite good, right? What we are doing, so basically we started experimenting with the blockchain technology in 2015 as AltFinLab, working with the governments of Morocco, for example, in Lebanon. In Morocco, we had the initiative with the Ministry of Agriculture, certifying basically doing the traceability of the argan oil production. We have, I think, 22 cases with the governments currently, which they go beyond the education and training, etc. Maybe I can introduce that later. But one use case that is really somehow spotlighting, I would say, success of our work is the blockchain implementation in the civil registry in Uzbekistan. This is the project that started in 2019 between UNDP and the Ministry of Justice. It was funded by European Commission, if I recall correctly, 5 million project. And basically what we did there, we scanned more than 60 million different documents, birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates, and put them on the blockchain. Unfortunately, private blockchain built by the private company, but the project still exists and it's running great. So currently we have 15 million users, which is 40% of the population of Uzbekistan. And we see a lot of benefits, of course. We reduce the time of the issuing the document or using the document from days to minutes now. It's accessible also on the mobile phones, etc. And now we are expanding this. So now we are working with the Uzbekistan government to expand this to the healthcare records, to educational credentials, land registry, etc., etc. And the project was also recognized this year as the best blockchain government project in the Central Asia. Yeah, this is just the one use case. We have multiple ones in different industries, but maybe people don't know what is the role of UNDP. UNDP is somehow the integrator. So we are the biggest development agency in the world, and we are working primarily with the governments as a translator between the private sector and
there is a lot of education to do between the deciders, people taking the decisions. They're not, or they don't have all the same level of knowledge, obviously, on the topic. And yeah, we will get back to the topic of identity, because for example, in the law enforcement, it's very important to prevent identity theft. So to have a shared truth on a ledger, everyone can verify and be able to control. So this is very interesting topic. Maybe can you give us all one or two use case in your experience?
Yeah, so speaking of identity, I think a lot of the use cases come down to identity. And identity looks different in many situations, right? So one, for example, for voting, you need very rigorous identity for voting to prevent people from voting who are not valid constituents, prevent the Sybil attack problem of multiple people voting. So anything in the voting spectrum. Now there's also stuff like refugee identity, which I find very interesting, because these are situations where governments cannot provide identities, and there are many refugees that need some sort of way of proving who they are. So this is a great place for decentralized technologies to provide identities without an issuer, without the government being an issuer, or with a third-party issuer, such as the UN, which the UN has done. We've also done a bit of work on that as well. Even like more decentralized systems, like in Africa, for example, where you have like more community-based things, where you have community reputation, and you can get attestations that way on identity. So yeah, I think identity is a super interesting intersection of maybe not blockchain per se, but Web3 technology, cryptography.
Okay, Augusto.
Well, to be honest, in my case, I mean in the city of Buenos Aires case, we don't have a specific case of use yet. Of course, that maybe could be used for identity or maybe for the health systems.
Or the budget.
Yeah, but I will go to that point. But before that, last August, we launched with the mayor of the city a program, which is called VA Crypto. There are 4 reforms. 3 of these reforms are so focused on tax things. I mean low tax for crypto. And the last of this reform is to avail the crypto system, I mean to avail the wallet of crypto to pay taxes and to pay some service, like for example the driving license. So I'm totally sure that if we could connect the blockchain systems and the blockchain market, the crypto market, to be more specific, to the day of the citizens, you will have, you are something to put the offer and the demand together.
For example, for the driver license, we were talking just before with Nanak, with the Californian project. They have like the shared ledger for the driver license. They use blockchain, so maybe that this could be like a great inspiration or a discussion between Buenos Aires, the state of California, to improve citizens' life.
For sure, for sure. But in addition of that, why we start with the tax things or maybe with the pay systems? Because in Argentina you have 10 million accounts of crypto. That's our some dates from the CNB. It's more or less the SEC in the US. So you already have a big market of crypto user in Argentina, and particularly in Buenos Aires, because Buenos Aires is a small point of the map and a small point of the country, but 20% of the GDP grows in Buenos Aires. 70% of our service exportations grows in Buenos Aires. So we don't have really big extension of lands. We don't have mountain. We have a really high quality of human research. So this human research grows in the city of Buenos Aires because we have a lot of university, we have the capacity, we have the circumstance, I mean the service, good internet. So the idea is try to connect something that it's happened nowadays, that is you have 10 million account of crypto user, and this is only the account that are publics. I mean, maybe you have many others that are not publics. So if these people could use more easier their crypto day by day, where you are trying to connect.
We will talk about the frictions and the things to go beyond to improve the daily life. Passing the micro, yes, for you, for example, 2 examples.
Totally. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about national level and city level governments that are providing services to their citizens. And we're also talking about the international community and multilateral community that are enhancing and augmenting those services to global citizens at the same time. Ideally, those services are interoperable, not always, but the rate of innovation of trying more and more implementations and more use cases will increase the rate of innovation of crypto-enabled digital public infrastructure, replacing existing public infrastructure, which candidly doesn't work. It doesn't do the job of providing services to citizens. Now, holistically across the world, which increasingly when I moved out of public service into becoming a sort of a crypto technologist, I sort of saw the power of this technology globally. And so whether I'm looking at in the payments industry, I'm seeing what's happening in India with settlement layers. I just came back from Bhutan, where they've obviously just put on their ID sets onto Ethereum mainnet. I'm looking at like the energy and procurement markets in neighboring Chile. These are all really good examples of different verticals where crypto-enabled public goods can replace in a sovereign grade, mission critical, transparent and interoperable way the services that governments have been providing for 100 years. Now, this is transformational. The fact that Teo is on this panel here right now saying, look, the UN is committed just from the DP side to figuring out with national level governments on the one hand and crypto ecosystems on the other, how we can enhance these services, tells us how much we've come on in 10 years plus in the crypto industry to be able to deliver the services we've all idealized for so long, right? And the shoulders we've stood on before that. So I think all of these use cases that have been mentioned on this panel and more stand to reason that in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see major governments and the international community move almost fully onto these rails, and the user experience of citizens will be so much better, even though they won't notice that it's on crypto rails.
And do you see one, or for example, one domain where it's easier to implement because government can get it way faster than the other? For example, you were talking, Theo, about academic credentials. For example, in France, you have like 70 million of people. It's not like Argentina, but you only have like 8% or 10% of the French population who has crypto and use it, and everyone has a bank account. So when you try to convince politics and deciders, it's not that's clear for them. Why should I use a blockchain? Why a blockchain should be better? And but for the academic credential, they see the interest to fight the fraud or to have a shared truth with the document anyone can see. So this is one example, but yeah, we need to go beyond a few obstacles. What's your point, all of you, from the main obstacle? For example, you were talking also about interoperability. Yeah. First, you gotta teach, so education. Then, once they get it and they can understand the interest for the public transformation of innovation and distributed ledger and blockchain, there is also the problem of security and interoperability. So there are many, but pick one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go first on challenges and opportunities. I think on the challenges side, literacy is like, on the government side, it's literacy, right? You don't have the level of understanding, often, especially at the national level, including at city level, but let's say at the national level of governments, to understand this technology well enough, right? And they're not going to be like a senior level civil servant in any major economy is not going to put their career on the line to make a decision, right? Inaction is no grounds for firing in government systems, right? It's very difficult to get things done because people are not willing to go and do the work to understand what can be transformative. I think the major unlock there is finding a very senior sponsor in a respective government that understands this technology, has spent time with it, and actually is willing to put resource, time, and effort
like
against
social proof.
So yeah, social proof, and also they've put time to understanding the technology, right? So that you can have a conversation that's quite deep on crypto rails. They can differentiate between what is a ghost chain, a shitty piece of tech, and actually what is sovereign grade technology that can support the use case that they're trying to do. I think we're at this stage now where like some crypto technologies, not all, for certain use cases are at a place now where you can replace existing infrastructure. The problem is only one example needs to go wrong, and then the entire government infrastructure can say, well, look, all crypto is bad. And I think that selectivity of government is really difficult because it's about getting in the room and convincing the decision makers, and often that's done in silos. So if we can do this as transparently as possible, the tender processes from the government side are put in full public and everyone can debate on whether or not this particular tech stack is right for this use case, and we can have that conversation, which crypto I think does really, really well. It sets us in better stead. But there's also a massive opportunity for crypto ecosystems to do more education. I think if I'm the head of a foundation or I'm the head of a crypto labs, I should be in these conversations with government, with multilaterals, with institutions more and more, because it's my job to convince them that this technology is ready to be adopted. And if I'm not willing to do that, no one's going to shield my technology for them. So I think we need to see more senior technologists also put more time and effort and resource against having those conversations.
Yeah. Maybe I can continue this. So 2.5 years ago, we recognized that problem and started building internal capacity. So we started with the Blockchain Academy. We educated like 500 first, UNDP people that understand the technology and basically can go beyond thinking and going to the ideation. And somehow then the blockchain community of practice within the UN started to evolving. Currently we have 2,000 people, that are working or designing or something, working with the blockchain industry. And that evolved to the acceleration program, where basically we are supporting with the blockchain partners, internal pilots in terms that they are working with the government on some specifications from governance to identity, payments, climate, whatever it is, right? So we did a little bit of our job in terms of the education internally. Then governments, like I said, we are starting now with the Government Blockchain Academy. Next year we will pilot in 3 to 4 countries, and then we are planning to expand to 70 countries in 27. So their literacy and level of the understanding, but also the capacity to build something or co-design something with blockchain is really important. I saw that a lot of business schools, like side business school, etc., they also now have the government blockchain academies, that will raise the capacities of the blockchain. But we also have issue in the blockchain industry because builders don't understand the impact side, why they are building this. So they are not questioning, so they're just, answering the question what they are doing and what they build, not why they are building and why they are build something. And this is totally opposite of the thinking of UN or development organizations and also the governments. So I think this is one of the things that blockchain industry can also work on, right? To raise the capacities of impact design and why basically these solutions matter. Because then we are not talking only about the interoperability and the security, but also the scalability. And this is the biggest issue that we faced like last 3 years working with multiple blockchains. So whenever we put on the table some of the challenges, the answer immediately is, of course, we can build it. But then when we add the context, for example, identity, today we have 1.2 billion people without the identity. Who can solve this, right? So it's scalability. And understanding that a systematic change is important, not only to build a product and implement it on the lower scale in the municipality, on the country level, etc., but we need to have systematic approach, holistic approach to fully change this. Because without having the proper solution for the identity, those 1.2 billion people will not have access to payments, they will not have access to health, they will not have access to education, they will not be able to move across the countries if they are refugees, etc. So we have big challenges and we need big solutions now. So from my point of view, all three parties, for example, we had, like 2 weeks ago, we had in Copenhagen, we had interesting discussion between these three parties, like governments, blockchains, and UN. And we really honestly said, okay, we all have issues, right? Internal as well. One of them is corruption. It's already happening also in the blockchain industry. So, how we can stop this, how we can go back to the core values and principles, and who will be the gatekeeper of those values and principles. And then the talents, like we discussed, how we can basically together design educational program to co-build the ecosystem that will work together and collaborate. People are quite often asking me what is the one message to the to the blockchain industry, to the blockchain ecosystem: collaboration. First of all, you need to start, collaborating internally within the ecosystem and go beyond the ecosystem, because for now, I didn't met any builder, any company that can really solve that problem. Identity is so tricky.
So it's a human problem, because we say we are building the commons, and everyone is joining and saying, okay, but my common, or my network, or my protocol.
Yeah. So we need to go outside the ego approach, and do the common things. Identity, like I said, it's really, really, really tricky. We have countries with legislation, without the legislation. We have identity issues, where we need identity, but maybe we need just proof of human, nothing else. And these are big industries, and big processes. Like only in UNDP, health procurement is 5 billion alien, And we don't know, for example, how to solve this problem, because we don't have proper solution that can go across 152 countries where we are distributing drugs. So it's not like targeting one community, one country, one spot, but how we can build something that could be fully scaled, secure, and then interoperable in the future.
Another obstacle maybe on onboarding. I want to hear more on onboarding, like the UX onboarding, because centralized systems have this thing that they are convenient, they are easy to use. If you build something beautiful, which is a common on protocol that actually working, but it's very hard to onboard people, you're missing something. Maybe on this track.
Yeah, I would love to answer that and also respond to some of the points about identity, for example, and how to talk to government. Oops. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, none of this will work, right, if we cannot have a way to actually let normal people use blockchain. I think as far as the point of the biggest blockers to decentralized technologies working, it's showing governments an actual value prop that people can use. And a lot of folks have had to implement custom solutions, like for example, Estonia, people do have their cryptographic keys, but they're not like standard wallets, because there's no way Estonia could ask people, hey, install MetaMask, and write down your seed phrase somewhere. So making self-custodial crypto easier to use is definitely one of the major unlocks. And on that note, I think that talking to governments about crypto is a lot easier when you're not talking to them about crypto. When you're talking to them about, for example, some of the successful conversations we've had, we've never had a government say, we want to use crypto, we want to use decentralized technology, how do we do it? We've had governments say, we want to build a new identity system, and we said, okay, well, we can help design that in a way that also has these properties for when you want privacy or stuff like that. And like, okay, cool, give us the privacy too. So finding value props that are relevant and don't even necessarily mention crypto, and you just mention, hey, here are these other properties that would be good to bake in.
Technology leveraging public services, not technology on itself. Yeah, so it's a branding problem also.
In addition of that, and with our public view, yesterday we were discussing about that. If you show the people, if you show the minister or the secretary, okay, you have this problem, okay, I have this solution, and you could show the solution, this solution has a simple UX experience, and then at the end you said, well, I forgot to tell you something, maybe all of this is happening by blockchain. It's your idea, actually. So this is happening on blockchain, or maybe if you are talking to a band, this is like a DeFi protocol, but don't worry about that. But I mean, I don't know, with David, is this recording or? Okay, well, I need, sometimes I need to talk with some people in politics that are a bit old. So, if you need to speak to that old people that, no, this is blockchain, and you have lots of people that are working, but anybody is the owner of the thing that are happening there, but actually all of us are the owner of this blockchain and this system. It's so strange. Okay, no, call Microsoft. Okay, call Amazon. No. Nothing so new, nothing so revolutionary. So focus on the problem. We have a lot of problems in the public sector. We have a lot of problems at the city level and the state level. Actually, the city of Buenos Aires is a city, but it's an state. I mean, it's a really big city. It's one of the 24 states of the Argentina Republic. So we have a lot of problems, and I'm totally sure that blockchain technology could be, in a big part, a way to solve this problem. So focus on the UX experience, focus on how to sell to the mayor and to sell to the secretary this solution. And then at the end, maybe you forgot to tell that it's happening in blockchain, but that doesn't matter at the beginning.
Okay, that made me think about one of the experience in France. We had like this sports event, and everyone was trying to take like fraud to enter the stadium without a ticket. So the ticketing problem is also, you have sports in Buenos Aires, Argentina, it's like very popular. So to fight fraud on ticketing, blockchain
we are not going to speak about football. No.
This is, for example, it's far from basic human condition and sustainable goals and all of that. But I think it's something really important, and when the technology could apply very well, and not just for sports, but all entrants in any events. Okay, so we are lacking time. Last thing, I want to talk about democracy, because democracy usually is direct, and it's something you have to vote on the policy. You don't have to elect someone who will be in charge to make the policies after. But the problem is the direct democracy, it can scale well, and the representative democracy is not really a democracy because it tends to corruption and to abuses. So we have liquid democracy, will allow you to cast your vote directly, but you can also give a temporary trust to someone who has skills, and the more skills he has, the more votes he will get. And you can still remove the trust if you want. And this is allowed by blockchain technology. And I want to have your view on that, or very quickly, something that could trigger the next dominoes.
I have 1 minute.
10 seconds.
I mean, it's not only connected to the democracy and governance model, but I was thinking now during the conversation, what we can do as a UN is, showcase. We can lead by example. So, for example, one of the easiest things that we can do, we can put our funding and spending on chain. This will encourage also the governments and all of the stakeholders and donors to do UNDP, to also be more transparent, and maybe that can lead to something else. And then maybe that we can tackle also the governance models, what we are doing in terms of the decisions and how we are doing basically our work and job. But that means that we need to fully rewrite the business model of the UN, right? You mentioned corruption, so that would be a tricky thing. But the good thing is, maybe this is like a really positive message, in UNDP and UN now, we really have a high-level senior management green light that we should start doing some kind of the experiments like this, putting everything on chain. So maybe in terms of the democracy, and the better governance, maybe we'll see next year even good results with this.
I'll take the answer as leading by example, and I think with Bhutan country, putting public services on Ethereum will be something to monitor very huge in the next year. So they can lead by example.
Yeah, I think that is one effective way, and another effective way might be, something terrible happens and blockchain is the best solution, right? Like I think governments are pretty wary to adopt new technologies, but if there's a new threat, they can move quickly. Like let's say misinformation just becomes much worse, and then blockchain or decentralized technologies somehow provide a way to combat that. I don't know what this sort of imminent threat would be that blockchain can solve, but I can imagine that making rapid progress.
10 seconds. Argentina next president on the blockchain. On the blockchain.
For sure, that you're right. Now I think it's just little so quickly. Decentralized system could help in transparency. So if you put transparency in the system, you are changing the big systems. That's the main point. You need to start with the first steps, and maybe the first step could be thanks to blockchain.
Sure, yeah. Look, crypto's been pushing the vanguard of experimentation with regards to voting and governance, and it will continue to do so. There's some great pieces of tech out there. Everyone on this panel, I'm sure, knows, and everyone on the audience as well. Carry on building, carry on experimenting. Go and talk to a public official if you can find them, and just do not let them out of your sight until you've convinced them you're excited about this tech. They should be too, and to spend more time looking at it for real.
Okay, thank you everyone, and see you after.